Hello again from my front porch, actually, of course, my back deck. And I wanted to introduce you to a surprise guest who just dropped in this morning. No, seriously, it's 4th of July, and so I not have to work. I was sleeping in a little, enjoying a nice, relaxing day, and then this one came knocking. No, seriously, I was in bed. I was just kind of waking up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, bam! Now I've been hearing bams in the air here lately, because a good couple of weeks before 4th of July, maybe even a little bit longer in some isolated cases, but for sure in this couple of weeks leading up to it, there's lots of the unofficial fireworks that are going off all over the place. And because I live a little more out in the rural area, not completely rural out in the country, but about as close as you can get without being in that, there's sometimes a little more flexibility on those things out here as well. Now, in town, it can be actually worse. But I mean, in terms of the sound and in terms of the hazard and the dangers, that's a little better out here. But there. Just to digress for a moment, fireworks are a great thing. I love them. I really enjoy watching fireworks, a good fireworks display, a good fireworks show. But there are a lot of people who shoot them off, who buy them and shoot them off without really considering other people. And we've made it really easy, actually, for people to have access to stuff that they probably shouldn't, because we have all these fireworks displays that pop up everywhere, all over the place. In fact, I've got one not far from me here over on 2nd Avenue where they literally have a big banner up that says, buy one firework, get 4 free. Now just imagine, I don't know if it's buy one and get 4 of the exact same thing free, or if it's buy one and get 4 dinky, goofy things free. I don't know. I didn't stop. But the point is, we have all these places now that are making it really easy for idiots to be well armed and potentially hurt themselves and others. Not everybody shooting fireworks is an idiot. It's not what I'm saying. But there are plenty of idiots who do, and those are the people who show no consideration either, that they're shooting them off at all times of day and night, especially again in town, where they're shooting them off and they're endangering other people, they're endangering themselves, they're creating hazards. People don't think about veterans that have PTSD issues related to this. They don't think about pets that have issues. They don't think about small children who are trying to sleep and are easily scared. People don't think about these things, and that's unfortunate, because the point of the fireworks and it is to celebrate, right? Well, yeah, but in your celebrating, you're making life tougher for somebody else, and that's you shouldn't do that. That's what I define as being an idiot. All right, enough with that rabbit trail digressing there. Let's get back to my guest. So last night and this morning we had some storms roll through, and here I have to digress again. We've had a lot of storms going through Iowa, a lot of rain, especially up in north. Well, not even just in Iowa, in the upper Midwest. There's been lots of storms going on. In fact, I've been sharing on my Facebook page, other people, it's been around the news, but a lot of flooding, massive levels of flooding in cities all over the upper Midwest, in Iowa and South Dakota and Minnesota. It's just been one tragedy after another of seeing all of these things going on, all of these different types of flooding that's happened, and not just damage to homes and businesses, but I mean like literal damage to roads, to dams that are being compromised, to all kinds of issues related to that because of all of this water, this onslaught of water. And I got to tell you, I watch the videos, I see the pictures, I feel just absolute compassion for the individuals who are suffering because of those things. But then there is that little voice in the back of my mind that also says, well, that water is going to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. It's not going to just stay there. It's going to go somewhere. And while Des Moines isn't the only place where it can go, it is downstream, and so we are starting to see that come here. And in fact, after my guest showed up, I took a little stroll around the yard, to the backyard area here, because there's lots of other trees down along the line of my little creek area there and stuff. So I went down to see if there's anything else. And while I was there, I noticed that my little creek, which is, I call it my little creek, but really it's definitely now more of a stream today. I'm not an expert on when a body of water moves from one category to another, or if there are others in there, but it is definitely a stream today, because already from the rain that we had, and from some of this other water that's starting to move this way, the water levels even in my little creek now turned into a stream. A few years ago, there was a lot of water in there, and it actually flooded halfway up my backyard. Not all the way to my house, thankfully, and it would take a lot of water actually to do that, but that did happen. It's nowhere near that bad right now, but there is certainly a lot of water there. And you know, water is so interesting, because all those pictures and videos of all the storms and the water that's coming down, and in the upper Midwest, all that damage and destruction, you can see how deadly water can be. And yet, in a more limited, controlled scenario like in my creek, in my backyard, it's actually kind of peaceful. And here, I took a little video. Let me just slip that in here for you so you see what I'm talking about. I tell you, I watched that video and it makes me just want to sing Bridge Over Troubled Water. I mean, the water is not truly troubled right now, but my little bridge is there and the water flowing on it. It's just, it actually was just filming that. It was a really peaceful moment. But this little guy here, he broke the peace this morning. In fact, you know, what's the line from the Christmas poem about out on the lawn there arose such a clatter? Well, this wasn't really a clatter. It was more of just a boom. Got me out of bed. I had to come out and see what was going on out here, and this was what greeted me. Now, I will say this. It was a little jarring to look out the window and see this big thing laying here, but I am fortunate that a lot of people have this kind of destruction that happens. A lot of people have, oh, there's a big mosquito going by. Oh no, it's a motorcycle. But a lot of people have damage and destruction. I want to be very clear about this. I don't want to be anyone thinking I'm belittling or minimizing or not giving enough serious focus to people who, because there are people who have lost their entire property, people who've lost lives, just horrible things that happen as a result of storms and natural disasters like that. And me having a tree limb fall down on my deck is not a natural disaster. I'm not trying to classify it as that. Please do not misunderstand, and do not think that I'm trying to equate this experience here with anything that other people have suffered in that way, because that is certainly not what I'm trying to do here. But what I am trying to do is to illustrate that sometimes things in life fall on us. we don't expect it to happen. I did not expect to wake up July 4th and have a tree limb laying on my back deck. But when stuff like that happens, you know, you got to look for the silver lining, and there's a big wide silver lining here. I have a tree limb laying on my back deck. However, I am fortunate that when this guest showed up and made his presence known in a very definitive and loud way, he also did not choose to do a lot of damage, because it's laying here on the deck, and yet it hasn't damaged the deck itself. There's a barely some scratching of the paint off of the edge of the railing here that I had to really look to see. I mean, just like little bit like that. Now there might be a little more scratching like that underneath the tree here. I haven't lifted it up to look, but the point is the railing isn't broken. It's not smashed. The deck itself is not smashed. And as far as the other end over by the house, the only damage that I can find is that the rain gutter has a slight dent in it, probably where the big end fell down across it, and that's it. That's the only damage. And so I want you to really just look here for a minute. Look at how this thing is laying here. Because this big, broken, jaggedy end that's pointed towards my house up on the tree had been pointing the other way. So this thing had to spin around when it came down, because it came from a spot way up there, all the way up the tree, and there is just a big jaggedy thing sticking out there. And it was, at one point, this tree limb was more or less hanging over the deck until whatever snapped it off and caused it to fall down and spin around and land like this on my deck. Now, how that happened, what the order of events were, how it came to, what broke it, what spun it, I don't know. But here it lays. And there's another spot on one of the tree limbs up here where I can see where there's one that's still connected up here, where you can see it's a little broken, and that's obviously where this thing came down through in some way or another, and that probably helped break its fall. Maybe it helped redirect it. Maybe it helped spin it around. I don't know. I'm just glad that whatever happened, it happened the way it did to cause this thing to land the way it did, because again, the only damage is a little bend in a rain gutter that can easily be bent back into place. But look where the thing is laying, right here underneath the windows into my kitchen. This could have very easily went right through those windows. It came from up there this direction down, spun around. Whatever was involved with all that motion, it could have went right through these windows. It could have went right through the sliding patio doors coming out onto my deck and just smashed through all of that stuff too. This big, heavy, pointed, jaggedy thing could have done a lot of destruction to the windows, could have come down the side of the house and ripped off the siding, could have broken the overhang of the roof here, could have smashed, ripped off the shingles on it. Didn't do any of that. This big fella, who again showed up without any announcement, just a surprise guest. Hello, I'm here. Yes, made its presence known. Yes, was unexpected, and yet, thankfully, chose not to smash everything up. Thank you. So all I had to deal with is cutting this thing up and getting it out of here, and you probably won't even be able to tell that it was here. And so that's, again, you got to look for the silver lining when these things happen. I am fortunate, as I said a little earlier, that I had a tree limb fall in a storm, and there's no real damage per se. For those who have worse situations than that, my heart still does definitely go out to you. And I can't even imagine some of the pain and suffering that people go through with those tragedies and are still suffering through as that flooding that I was talking about before continues and it begins its move downstream. But alas, here we are, and I just wanted to share with you about my guest who dropped in. Literally. I'm not quite sure how to include this guest on my IMDb page, how to list them. So maybe they'll just have to be uncredited, and we'll just leave it at that. Sorry. All right. Well, with that, I will let y'all go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.